There should just be a message on everybody's screen. So let me just put, got it. Right, so good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm really glad I didn't do it last night because my kitchen was registering nearly 40 degrees actually yesterday, as I'm sure most of yours were as well. Currently the reading is, oh, it's a cool 28 degrees in here, so a little bit better than it was yesterday. So I should be able to sort of run through this relatively comfortably. Right, yes, just had a message saying somebody's stuck at work, can they watch back later? So when you watch this on playback, yes, you absolutely can, because I'm recording it. So I hope you're all well this evening, and congratulations to those of you who have recently purchased a Thermomix. I promise you, you will not look back. It will become your new best friend in the kitchen, and you will wonder how on earth you ever coped without it for 4 years, Mrs. Messenger. So this evening, I'm just going to run you through all the features and the functions. We're going to have a look at Cookie Do as well, just to make sure your settings are correct. What we find quite often is that customers, when they register on the UK Cookie Do app, they don't realise that they are restricted to UK-owned recipes. So there is a bit of a workaround on that, and I will show you how to do that. So it will just open up your search filters to include countries, in other English-speaking countries like the US, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand as well. So you get far more recipes. It is the most commonly asked question on my Facebook group, actually, when I share a recipe. Often I'll get somebody say, I can't see it. Why can't I see it on Cookie Do? And the answer to that is because your filters aren't set up correctly. So first of all, we're just going to have a look through the actual modes on the Thermomix. I'm going to talk you through what you see on the screen. So hopefully you're going to see you can see my screen, which I'm pointing to now. So this is what we call the home screen. Okay, it's the screen with the 3 dials on it. So your first dial is always your time. The second dial is your temperature, and your third dial is your speed. So you can see as I sort of tap on the dial becomes enlarged, and when it's enlarged, this speed selector on the right hand side of your Thermomix will operate whichever dial is enlarged. So you can just turn it and manually change these settings. Now when you're on a guided recipe, all the settings are already input for you, so you don't need to worry too much about time and temperature. All your job is just to turn the speed selector to the correct speed. You'll notice on the speed dial, you have got settings ranging from just a gentle stir round to, I'm just going to check I've got nothing in there, round to speed 10. And depending on what speed you select, that's when the Thermomix will be doing either sort of a gentle stir or a coarse chop to a fine chop to a sort of a blend and emulsify. And all the sort of the relevant speeds are actually covered in the back of the Simple Ideas recipe book that comes with your Thermomix. So if you're ever unsure what to use, if you want to chop carrots, for example, if you want to finely chop them or coarsely chop them, same with onions or other sorts of vegetables, refer to the guides in the back of the Simple Ideas book, because it will give you the ideal weight to put into your Thermomix, and then the time and the speed associated with getting the outcome that you want. So that's really handy to know in the back of to remember that in the back of the Simple Ideas book, you've got access to all of that information. You'll also notice if you just click on the blade icon here on the screen, you can put your blades into reverse. Now, this will automatically come on when you're going through a guided recipe. So if you're doing a risotto, for example, the second you put that rice in, you will end up with your blades going on to reverse, because when you look at the blades, they've got two types of edges to them. On one side, they're sharp, on the other side, they're blunt. And when the blade's spin in a clockwise direction, you've got the sharp side coming into contact with the food. So that's when it's doing this sort of chopping and the mincing and the grinding. And when you put the blades into reverse, they're going to be spinning in an anti-clockwise direction. And that's where you've got the thicker, blunter edge in contact with the food. So it's just really doing you a stir without mashing down your food too finely. So it's just one thing to bear in mind. If you're cooking a risotto or generally slow cooking, do make sure you've got that little green arrow. It's very easy to inadvertently tap this dial and remove it. So always check. So if you're using your Thermomix manually, it's really exactly the same process as when you're sort of cooking on a hob. Really, when we cook anything, it's a function of how long we're going to cook it for. So say, you know, if I was making a roux, because this is one of the questions I get asked the most, I generally would set 3 minutes on the clock. Then I would put about 100 degrees on here. And then I would just do a sort of a gentle stir. So between gentle stir and maybe speed 1 to cook out a roux. So that's when you've got your flour and your butter and you're making a roux to thicken like a sort of a milk-based sauce or a gravy. If you're not, if you're unsure, then there are always guided recipes on Cookie to help you. So what I would recommend is, rather than sort of, you know, winging it to start with, always refer to Cookie and find a recipe similar to what you want, what you've got in your mind to cook. So whether that's a curry or whether that's something like a white sauce, then it would walk you through the steps in and the time, the temperature and the speed involved. And then the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get, and it will just become natural. So you'll know, you know, for example, if you're going to chop your onions, generally you're looking at kind of 5 seconds at somewhere like speed 5 to 7. If you're going to cook out a roux, you would do it for 2 to 3 minutes at 100 degrees at sort of a, you know, a very low speed, because there's no need for those blades to be turning quickly. So it's just through, I've just got somebody else coming in. Hi, Sean. It's just through sort of using the Thermomix and getting familiar with the guided recipes that you pick that up. And you've always got an advisor on hand to ask for help and advice. And you should also all have access to if you're on Facebook, my Thermomix Whiz customer group on Facebook, because that again is a really good source of support. So if you've just got a quick question, you're unsure of how to do something, it's well worth putting it in the Facebook group. You'll probably get a quicker answer than trying to get in touch with your advisor directly. And we share, not just me and the team, but our customers as well, share lots of recipes in there that they've done that they found really successful. So it's a really good, I would recommend you joining it if you are not already a member. So that's the home screen. So we've got time, temperature and speed, which is exactly basically what you do when you cook normally. Then if you swipe across, you've got, this is where your modes come up. So you can put your scales on, for example. You can put your scales on at any point in a recipe, as long as the blades are not turning above speed 3.5. So that's quite useful to know if you just want to weigh something. What I would do is just get a bowl like this, pop it on, press tear. Tear means like reset to 0. It often goes to -1 because they're so sensitive. And then you can start to weigh directly in. So that can be quite useful. So that's your weighing scales. But again, all of these different modes will come up when required in a guided recipe. So you don't need to worry too much about them. Then your next mode is dough mode. You've got 2 dials. So a lot of our modes show like this. You've got a time dial, so you can set what time you want. And then you've got the second dial, which is basically just the start button. So it's going to knead away. I've just programmed it. What have I done? Oh, because I had the heat going when I was sort of doing my imaginary roux. So now the bowl temperature is hot. So you'll notice that these little lights on the front of your screen have changed from green to red as soon as the bowl temperature goes above 50 degrees. So that's a little safety feature that just warns you not to touch the side of the stainless steel bowl. Hang on, I've got a little person coming to visit me. You want to sit up here? Well, you can't really sit up here because you can't really see anything. Oh, right, well, okay. You can just sit there then. You just sit there. Right, there you go. Yeah, so I've got my little 3-year-old. My older children are supposed to be looking after her, but never mind, she likes to get involved. Okay, so that's the dough mode. Turbo, I won't run turbo because again my bowl temperature is too hot. You can choose between 1 or half a second, 1 second and 2 seconds. Now turbo is a bit like a pulse on a food processor. No, it's telling me it's too hot again. I shouldn't have done that. So this is used for things like if you want an intense burst of speed. So it's really quite handy. Thank you, darling. If you're going to do that, then I'm going to move you away. It's quite handy for things like chopping nuts, chopping grains, sort of milling grains into flour, grinding coffee beans, that sort of thing. So that's turbo. It's also really handy if you have got cake mixture, if you've been making a cake or some dough, and you've got mixture or dough stuck around the blades and round sort of underneath the blades in the bottom of the bowl. If you spin your blades on turbo, just give it a quick blast, then everything that is sat on the blades just gets pinged off to the side of the bowl, and you can just put your spatula around, pick it up, and your bowl is a lot cleaner than it was before you ran it. So that's worthwhile knowing. Okay, right, can you get down now, darling? Right, well, you need to be quiet if you're going to sit here. All right, be quiet. Then this is everybody's one of their favorite functions, the pre-clean mode. So the Thermomix will clean itself. The first time you use these modes, you will have a little information screen pop up to tell you how to use it. So if you don't want to see that, just press that cross, the cross on the right-hand side, and it will just get rid of it. But at any point, if you're unsure, you can always refer to it by coming back to pressing the I. So what generally I recommend you do is fill your bowl up to the sort of litre mark with water. Certainly cover the blades, but you can put a little bit more in if you like. Put a couple of drops of washing up liquid in, no more than that, because you'll inadvertently turn your Thermomix into a bubble machine if you put too much in. So I've had some rather funny photos sent to me over the years of customers with, you know, soap suds just like everywhere, where they put too much washing up liquid in. So you've been warned. So you can then sort of select from the options that you've got and tell it what sort of clean you want to give it. So if you've been making dough, you can turn it to the dough mode. If you just want to give it a universal clean, you can do that. To be honest, I don't tend to worry too much about the fat or caramel or the browning options. I tend to do most on the dough or universal. If you just want to give it a quick wash out in between steps of a recipe or in between recipes, sometimes you can have a strawberry. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have time to wait for the sort of the pre-clean to run a 5-minute cycle. So in that case, I would just recommend that you put some water in, and then you go back to your home screen and you just set sort of 10 seconds on the clock like that, and speed 10, and just give it a big blast for 10 seconds like that. So that can be quite effective as well if you haven't got time to wait. Okay, so that's the pre-clean. Blender, I mean, again, does what it says on the tin. You can select your time. It's preset to 30, but you can increase that. And then you can select the speed anywhere between 6 and 8. Now, typically, if I'm going to blend something, I just go back to my dials. Go back to my home screen. I just go back to my dials, and I usually, if I want to blend something, I just crank up the speed to between 8 and 10. Okay, so that's the blender. Yes, you can have another one. Egg boiler, again, this can be quite fun. It will explain how to use your egg boiler. The blades switch off, so don't worry about putting your eggs directly into the bottom of the Thermomix. Your blades aren't going to be turning. And you can determine how you want your yolks. So this is absolutely brilliant, actually, this function. So you can choose from sort of soft all the way round to hard boiled eggs, and then providing that you followed the recipe and your eggs are cold from the fridge and you put the number in that they suggest, your eggs will be absolutely perfect. So it takes a lot of the guesswork and some of the time and energy out of boiling an egg. And I know that sounds daft because most of us can put some eggs in a pan. Very, very easy to overcook eggs because we just take our eye off the boil, quite literally, go off and do something else, and then they're ruined. Yeah, so you've also got a kettle mode. You can use it as a kettle, and you can alter the temperature on the kettle. So you can set any temperature you like, really. So if you just want to warm up some water to sort of 50 degrees, there you go for washing up. If you want to make your tea or coffee, I think coffee is usually you boil water to about 80 degrees. And then tea, usually you take it to sort of 100 degrees. But again, same principle, you've got your 2 dials, and on the second dial, you just need to click your selector button and off it goes. Warm-up mode comes on, so you can heat up your leftover food. If you're going to use warm-up, I would recommend that you put the whisk in.
Mum,
No, there's other people on here, but you can't see them. So when you put your whisk in, and I'll show you this at this point, drop it in over the blades. So the blades always stay in the bowl. And then with your whisk, you just give it a little, you just need to give it a little twist after insertion. Can you see that? So that you get a little click. Yeah, there you go. A little twist so that it nestles up against one of the blades. It doesn't matter which one, but it's that little twist that means your whisk is then locked into position, and it won't ping out when you're using it. But you can only use it up to speed 4. So there's a little 4 written on the whisk there. So don't go above speed 4 because it is liable to just ping out, and then when that happens, it will get caught by the turning blades, and then you'll end up with a mangled whisk and bits of plastic in whatever you're whisking, which is not ideal, really. I mean, these are very cheap and easily replaceable on our website, but it's obviously better not to. And I've been a Thermomix owner for 5 years now, and I still haven't lost. I've come close, but I haven't lost a single whisk. Okay. So the warm up, I mean, generally, if you're warming up sort of soup or something, I would heat most food up to 75 degrees. At 75 degrees in a professional kitchen, you know that you've killed most of the bugs that are likely to be in there. Thicker mode, this is great for making sauces like hollandaise or a white sauce or a bechamel. This again will automatically come on when you are using a guided recipe. So if you follow a recipe for hollandaise or white sauce or cheese sauce, this mode will automatically be activated. Often I just put this mode on if I'm making some gravy and I've made my roux first of all. I then put in all my roasting juices and my stock, and a bit of wine sometimes. And then I put my thicker mode on. I usually crank the temperature up to 100, and then I just click start, and it will also, won't like it because there's no lid on. It will automatically detect the ingredients I've got in there and then run it for a certain amount of time. So it's generally around 12 minutes. Okay. You've got your rice cooker. Now, if you're going to use your rice cooker mode, I would refer to the rice cooker collection on Cookie Do. So there is a collection. I'll show you how to find collections when we look at Cookie Do later on. But everything is explained in that collection. Rice cooker can be useful for cooking larger quantities of rice. Personally, I prefer the steamed rice recipe. And when you use the steamed rice recipe, you put the rice in a simmering basket. You pop that inside with some hot water, and the rice is effectively steamed. I think the quality and the texture of the rice is lovely when you steam, but you can only do a maximum of about 350 grams at a time if you use the simmering basket. Now, I think arguably you can really only do 250 to 300 grams, which is fine for a family of 4, about 4 portions, 4 to 5 portions. But if you're wanting to do a big lot of rice, you're probably better off using the rice cooker mode. Then we've got fermentation. which is generally used for making yogurt. So I've got a couple of my homemade yogurts here that I make. So I make all my own yogurts now. It's a big money saver, actually. My children were going through an insane amount of Muller corners. I've got 4 children. So on a weekly basis, we were sort of knocking on the door of, 28 to 30 Muller corner yogurts with all the plastic going in the bin. It was costing me a huge amount of money. I had tried, homemade yogurt was something I had tried before. I'd got an easy yogurt maker, but it was just a bit of a faff. And I still didn't feel it was really as natural as it could be. But now there's a couple of recipes that I recommend on here. I think I've detailed them in my welcome document, but also there's a lot of information on the customer group as well about yogurt recipes and which to use. One is the creamy vanilla recipe that is from Australian Cookie Dough, and the other one is the plain yogurt. Both work equally well. But when you're making, if you run the fermentation mode, which may not be necessary, because I'll just show you a little tip in a minute, because everybody's always fascinated with yogurt. You then put, let me just turn that around. You put your varoma, so I will go through the different accessories and the parts of the Thermomix shortly. You put your varoma in with your yogurt jars and your milky mixture in, and then the lid goes on. The fermentation mode goes on. You put some clean water in your Thermomix bowl with some lemon juice, and then you just run usually for fermentation between 8 and 10 hours. So I would run it overnight. Right, could you move out the way? I'm getting cross now, all right? I don't mind you being up here, but you've got to sit out of the screen, otherwise nobody can see. So that's my yogurt. Now, often if I'm making yogurt these days, because it's really warm at the moment, one of these are our Thermomix serving bowls. So these don't come with the Thermomix. However, I will tell you how to get hold of one for free in a minute. So what I do now to ferment my yogurt, and this has the added advantage of not using any extra energy, is I put all of my jars filled with the milky mixture when they're still warm inside the Thermomix serving bowl, pop the lid on, and then I leave that somewhere warm. So at the moment we've got like a conservatory, so I put it in there, it's really warm, or you could put it in an airing cupboard. Somewhere between 2 and 3 hours later, your yogurt will set. And so that doesn't use any extra energy at all. So that's really good. And my yogurt now these cost about 10p a jar, as opposed to about 50p from Muller Corner. And then I top it either with some homemade lemon curd or some strawberry jam, or a bit of Nutella or something like that. And they are honestly delicious and a real money saver for us. That's your fermentation mode. And it's mostly, you can also use it to ferment bread, actually. So you can, I often will wrap my dough in a silicone baking mat. Again, I will talk to you about silicone baking mat and how you can get hold of one of those for free this month. You put your dough in your silicone baking mat, pop your lid on, and then, actually, I don't think the fermentation goes as, I think it's just programmed to an hour minimum rather than 30 minutes. So this is where I would go back to my dials. So let me just go back to my home screen. Same principle, I put some water in here and I'd set 30 minutes on the clock. So I often do this at demos, 70 degrees, speed 2. And then just leave your dough to brew. So this is a great way of fast fermenting dough once you've made it in your Thermomix. So it means you can have pizza dough, for example, ready to go in about 35 minutes, and it'll be ready to use and it'll be perfect. It works for any kind of dough, and I often do it at demos because it just speeds up the whole process. Okay, so that's one thing to just a little tip that you can try out when your Thermomix arrives. You can actually put loaves in here. So as long as your loaf tin fits in here, you can make your bread dough. You don't even need to do an initial proof. You can put it straight in your bread tin, put the lid on, and then again, same principle, ferment it for about 30 to 35 minutes. It will rise beautifully, then you can put it straight in the oven. It's amazing. And that means that you can get a loaf of bread on your table in just over an hour. Okay, so that's fermentation. Then you've got your slow cooker. So the Thermomix can also be used as a slow cooker. I would recommend that you refer to a collection, a bit like with the rice cooker. There are slow cooker collections on Cookie Do that you can have a look at. So I'm not going to go into this tonight really in any detail, but if you do want to use it as a slow cooker, just refer to one of the collections, because it will actually walk you through some recipes and show you exactly how to use that mode. Then you can use your Thermomix to sous vide. So sous vide is just a sort of a fancy kind of technical term for cooking food inside a vacuum sealed pouch. You can buy a vacuum sealer to do it, or you can do it in a Ziploc bag. There are a number of different videos on my group to show you how to use a Ziploc bag if you want to use that method and don't have a vacuum sealer, or you can just Google it. But essentially, if you cook meat or eggs or fish sous vide, you are creating a constant temperature water bath. So it's a bit like a kettle, basically. You select the temperature that you need, and there are guides on the internet and on Cookie Do, I believe, for telling you, for example, what cut of meat, the weight of it, what time and temperature that you need to use, and then you just drop your bags into your this would be full of water, into a water bath, and then click start. So it's quite fun to have a play with. Probably if you cook a steak sous vide, you will never want to go back to cooking it normally, because it cuts like butter, especially if it's fillet steak. It's absolutely delicious. It's melt in the mouth. There are lots of guided recipes and again collections for how to for sous vide. So it will take you through a number of different ways of using it, for doing vegetables, for doing fish, for doing meat. So there's lots of guides and help available on Cookie Do. And then you've got now we've got the peeler function. So we're constantly adding new modes and functions to the Thermomix. So it is really the only kitchen appliance that gets better with age. Now, the peeling blade cover is our only optional accessory. So this is the only accessory you have to pay for. Everything else comes as standard with your Thermomix. So this is just an extra £32. And the idea of it is you can use it. It's generally useful for slow cooking and for cooking sous vide. So if you are going to do either of those modes, or use either of those modes, you can't really get away without having one of these. And then if you want to turn your Thermomix into a peeler, like to peel potatoes or other root vegetables or even garlic, it also will peel boiled eggs, which is fabulous because that's such a boring task in the kitchen. You need one of these. So this you would pop in over your blades. Right, it just gets dropped in over the blades like that. Can you see? There you go. And then if you come onto the peeler, again, you've got this little overview screen which tells you exactly how to use it. So you need to add some water to the mixing bowl, a maximum of 800 grams, whatever you're peeling. And then generally you set the time for about 4 minutes. So you would come off of here, it's already defaulting to 4 minutes. If you're going to do something like ginger, you need to just decrease the time. I've been told to about 2 minutes. Otherwise, you're going to end up with finely chopped ginger, which is almost impossible to extract the skin from, which is what I found one time. So I ended up having to make a ginger cordial with it because that was the only thing I could do with my mangled ginger. But very nice it was too. So you can always rescue things that go wrong in the kitchen, I've found over my 20 years since I've trained as a chef. Okay, so they're all our modes on the Thermomix screen. Now I'm going to come on and show you, while I'm still on the screen, I'm going to show you some other features of the Thermomix, which is pretty unique really to the Thermomix. So as I keep saying, the home screen is this one with the 3 dials. If you click on the 3 lines here, it brings up the main menu. So here you go, it says main menu. On this main menu, you've got access to any recipes that you have saved to your Cookie-Do account. So you can create folders on your Cookie-Do account, and we will look at that. So you can create your own collections of recipes. So this is quite useful. So these are some of mine. You can see as I scroll down. So in my curries folder, for example, I've just got 68 recipes that I've saved all together. So if I want to make a curry, I know that I can look at any one of these recipes that I've gone through when I've looked at Cookie-Do and thought, oh, they look rather nice. I'm going to collect them together so that when I need some inspiration, I will come back and have a look at my curry folder and then select which one I want to cook. This one is lovely, apparently, the chickpea and tomato Rogan Josh. I've done 2 ticks. What is it?
Oh, my fairy.
Your fairy. I don't know where your fairy is. Was she outside? Oh, right, here she is. Right, why don't you take your fairy and go and see what Alexa's up to? Right, okay, you sit there then with your fairy. So you can create as many collections as you want, really, and it's just really useful in terms of being able to get organised and know exactly, once you've come across a recipe on Cookie-Do, put it in a folder and you'll know where to find it. So we've also got saved collections. So you can also save all the Thermomix produced cookery books onto your Thermomix as well, onto your Cookie-Do account. So they are also all available at the touch of a button. So you can see, again, I've got hundreds of collections on here, but if I just go down and show you, the Taste of India is a classic, actually. So again, along the curries theme, we do like a curry, which is fabulous, actually, because Thermomix makes the most incredible restaurant quality curries. You can see the recipes that have been put together in a collection for you by our chefs. So these collections on Cookie-Do range from anything from a small sort of seasonal collection, which we release fairly regularly, of about 8 to 10 recipes, up to full published cookbooks as well. And you've got access to all of those through your Cookie-Do account. So it means you never really need to buy another cookery book again. So Cookie-Do is an annual subscription. So for those that are new to Thermomix and haven't purchased their Thermomix yet, if you want to have access to Cookie-Do, so Cookie-Do is the recipe platform that is effectively like our operating system for the Thermomix. You don't have to have Cookie-Do as a Thermomix owner, but I strongly believe it is worth the £40 annual subscription fee, because having the recipes on the screen is what makes having a Thermomix what it is: really simple, easy, quick and effortless to use, and full of inspiration at your fingertips. So Cookie-Do currently costs £40 a year. You get 7 months for free when you initially buy your Thermomix. So everybody gets a month free trial, and then you get 6 months for free when you buy your Thermomix. And then it's up to you if you want to continue it afterwards, but I've never met a person yet out of my customers that doesn't want to. Okay, that's Cookie-Do. Shh, shh, darling, you need to be quiet, okay? Or you have to go into the other room. You can bookmark recipes. So through Cookie-Do, you can favourite them and say, this is one that I want to have in my, effectively is a favourites folder. Mine needs a bit of pruning because there's lots of things in here that I don't quite understand why they've ended up in there. But again, very handy to have all those sort of most cooked recipes in one place. And then you've also got the option through Cookie-Do to create your own recipes and write your recipes in your Cookie-Do account so that they appear on your screen as well. So I'm not going to click on that because actually I haven't got around to doing that yet. I don't know why. I've just got loads of recipes in my head and I really should get them onto Cookie-Do. But again, that's a fantastic new feature that came up about a year ago now. So it also means you can sort of make notes on recipes and really make them your own as well, and input all your own recipes into your Thermomix so that you can make your own sort of, you can make your own recipes as well as the Cookie-Do ones. So you've got access under that main menu to your weekly planner. So you can see these are the sorts of things I put in my cook today. Right, just bear with me. I'm just going to go and put Peppa Pig on for my 3-year-old so that she doesn't sing in my ear and slowly drive me slightly bonkers while I'm trying to talk to you. Hang on, let me just put myself on mute. Right, hopefully there'll be no more interruptions. So you can see, so this is again one of the features that customers love about Thermomix, and what can save you quite a lot of money is that you can get really organized with what you're going to cook. So you can sort of outline what you're going to cook on a weekly basis, monthly basis, or even further in advance. So that means then that you only shop what you need. You only shop for what you need. So you don't walk around a supermarket buying lots of stuff because you know exactly what you're going to buy. So you can translate all the ingredients and recipes at a click of a button through your Cookie Do app. You can transfer onto a shopping list, and then you can edit and amend that shopping list. You can share it. So if you're going off to the supermarket, you can email it to yourself so you know exactly what you're going to buy. Or you can simply, if you do internet shopping, I don't, because I am a bit of a control freak and still enjoy going around the supermarket. You can simply shoot your shopping list over to your sort of grocery provider, compare store prices against some of the different stores, and then sync it with your shopping basket at that grocery provider. And then your ingredients are delivered directly to your door. Clearly you have to pay for it. But the Thermomix does everything else. So it makes it really easy to plan and get organized for you to do your shopping. Then it will cook for you, and then it washes itself up at the end. So it's a really, really clever machine. And if you can use this to get yourself organized, this is one of the ways customers tell me they save an awful lot of money. So that's your weekly planner. So everything that you save to your Cookie Do app will appear through your screen. Then you've got your recently cooked. So if you're going to travel with your Thermomix and you're not sure whether you are going to have access to Wi-Fi, or your mobile data might be a bit patchy, because you can actually sync your Thermomix to your phone if you need to, and use the mobile data to access Cookie Do. But if you are going somewhere where you're not going to have access to either of those, you can actually click through a step of each recipe of recipes that you want to cook while you're away. So again, you have to be a little bit organized and think, what do you want to cook when you're going away? So if you're away for a week or two, you would just need to click through all the recipes, just one step in of the ones that you want to do whilst you're away on holiday, and they will automatically be available. They will be stored on your hard drive, and you will be able to access them while the Thermomix is offline. So these are some of my recently cooked. So you can see exactly what I've been cooking. This is amazing, this dairy-free mango ice cream. You don't have to use dairy-free yogurt. You can just use normal yogurt, but it's one that I often do at demos. The naan breads are brilliant. I've got into my frappe coffee this week. The Thermomix makes a mean frappe. It costs pennies, as opposed to like £4 or £5 that you might spend at Starbucks or Costa. So again, great way to save money. I'm making a lot of jam at the moment, whilst the strawberries are cheap and in season. And you can sort of see homemade lemonade is always a winner. But in order to discover recipes, what we would recommend to new customers is for you to host a demo. So we do some online demos, and those online demos you have access to sort of inspire you to try new things. But there's nothing like getting a few people together and having a play firsthand with the Thermomix. So it's something that you can do with your advisor whilst you're waiting for your Thermomix to come. So we will come to your house. You can invite 3 or 4 friends to enjoy it with you. And if you do that, we will give you a gift. So that brings me on to this month. We've got a couple of different options. So we've got one of these lovely baking mats, which I always use at demos. And I can guarantee that every time I use one of these, somebody will want to buy one because they are really, really useful. And they've got your guides on there as well for rolling out pastry, which can be, which is really helpful and handy. Or you can earn yourself a Cookie Do extension voucher. So I've got customers that put demos in their diary every sort of three months, once a quarter, because by doing that, you get free access to Cookie Do. You don't have to pay your £40 annual subscription for Cookie Do. Demos are fantastic because it's lovely to get hands-on with Thermomix. It's really good to experience new recipes. They're also very sociable. And I love doing them. It's really nice to get a group of people together and being able to show them exactly what a Thermomix can do. So I can guarantee that once you've got your Thermomix in your kitchen and you have friends around and you're doing dinner parties, this will be the talking point. Everybody will want to know more about your Thermomix. So the other thing to say, this month up for free or up for grabs, we've got one of these Thermomix serving bowls. Now these are worth nearly £50. So if you wanted to buy one, you can buy them on our website. You would spend, I think they're £45. We're giving one of these away absolutely free. If you refer a friend to us that goes on to buy a Thermomix, we are giving our customers one of these for free as a little thank you for helping us share what Thermomix can do and grow our community in the UK. Because we don't sell in shops, word of mouth is really important for us. So we really, really value all our customers' referrals and recommendations. And we want to give you a little something as a thank you for that. Okay, so that is the machine. Now, what I want to go through is all the accessories. I don't think I've got anything. Oh, did I want to say anything else about this? So settings. Yes. So under settings, you can, this is how, if you're traveling around or you take your Thermomix to somebody else's house, to connect to the Wi-Fi, you would just need to go to Wi-Fi and then you can connect to a different network. So obviously you can just touch whichever network you want to connect to. Oh, no, it's not going to like that. And it will probably ask you for a password. There you go, in order to connect. So let me just come out of that, cancel. I don't want it onto next door's Wi-Fi. I don't think they'll be very happy with me, even though we did have randomly the same password at some point. You can then go to your sounds. So this is one of the things I wish my advisor, when I first bought my Thermomix a few years ago, my advisor had told me that you could actually turn the alarm noise down to 10 seconds and low, because each time your Thermomix finishes a step, it rings an alarm. So it's not a loud alarm, but if it goes on for 15 minutes until your Thermomix shuts down, it can get very, very irritating. So I would recommend that you turn that volume down to low, and then the duration is usually set to unlimited when your Thermomix arrives. So you want to just turn that down to 10 seconds. You can choose the melody, so you can sort of personalize it, make it your own. You can maybe, I don't know if you can hear that. You can just choose which sound that you want. I like the standard sound actually. So that's quite handy. You can also turn the volume of the next button down to off, otherwise it will click at you. So just have a play about and see what is right for you. You can alter your display. You can turn your brightness up and down. You can see, which can be useful. And what else have we got here? Yeah, so if you're traveling with your Thermomix, I'd recommend you put it into transportation mode, which basically just locks the lid. Where's my lid? Here it is. Locks the lid into position. So if I activate that, you can see the locking arms come across the Thermomix lid. It just locks it into position. And then you would just use this selector button to turn the Thermomix off with. So to deactivate it, you just click deactivate. that just keeps the bowl secure. So that can be really helpful if you're transporting your Thermomix with something in it. If you're taking your food around to your friends, for example, and you've got a big bowl of soup in here, the last thing you want it to do is sort of fall out. So just having the locking arms closed around the lid will ensure that nothing will escape from your Thermomix bowl. If you ever need to do a factory reset, it's not as gruesome as it sounds, I promise you. They are computers, sometimes they get their knickers in a twist, and sometimes you just need to do a factory reset. You won't lose any of the data that is stored on your Cookie account. You will lose things like your recently cooked history, because that's all stored on the hard drive, and you will also lose any settings that you have set up yourself. So you'll just need to go back into your sounds and redo them again. The Bluetooth, you only need to worry about that if you've got a Thermomix friend, because they talk to each other through Bluetooth. And I'm not quite sure what that Cookie account is doing. If you want to change your system of measurement, so if you want to move between imperial and metric, you can. Now, on a guided recipe, your scales will automatically convert. So if you're on an American recipe, your scales will feature in ounces. If you're on a UK or Australian recipe, they will be in grams. So, but if you are just using your Thermomix manually and you prefer to work in ounces, you can change your system of measurement there. You can put a pin lock on it as well, which can be useful if you've got children and you don't want those children to use your Thermomix while you're not around. I think that's about it really under settings. And then under help, if you ever need to contact Thermomix, all the contact details are there. So your phone number for customer services and the email address is there as well. You've got access to your instruction manual and then safety information as well. So if you just want to search for a recipe, you can do that without going into your, it says it's offline because I've fiddled about with my Wi-Fi now. Oh, I don't know what that is. There's a big helicopter going over, making lots of noise. There's always something when I do these Zooms. Either the dogs start yapping or I get a child in the background pulling faces. And now clearly I've got some sort of helicopter making a huge amount of noise. So I'm just connecting back to my Wi-Fi. Hopefully it shouldn't take too long. Might need to leave it. Sometimes if all the kids are watching stuff upstairs or using their Xbox, then it just takes a little while. Because I wanted to show you, you can actually search for recipes on the search for recipes directly through the screen, as well as searching for your Cookie account. So that can be quite useful. Why is it not connecting? Right, I'm going to turn that off and on again. And then whilst it does that, what I'm going to do is just hop onto Cookie and just show you Cookie. So I'm going to share my screen now on here. So can you see my Cookie screen? Yeah, hopefully you can. So this is what Cookie it looks like when you go into it. It's exactly the same when you look at Cookie on your Thermomix screen as well. Just try and switch back on again. So you can search Cookie. This is the home screen. It will give you an introduction as to what the sort of newest recipes are that are featuring in collections. Then there's always some sort of useful information and how to get started with certain aspects of Thermomix. So it's a bit like reading the Good Food magazine, actually, Cookie. I think it's if you've got a bit of time, it's well worth spending some time on Cookie. You can see what's the most cooked. So obviously everybody's doing frappe coffee because it's been so hot, and gazpacho, and then the lemonades have been popular. And then you've got some lovely articles here. So these articles, there's all sorts of articles here. I mean, Cookie-Doo's been going for many years. So you've got some really, there's a good sort of bank of articles for you to search through as well. And then it will suggest some recipes that are appropriate to the theme. And then you've got some sort of spotlighted recipes to pick out, this week's favourites. Those salads look really good. salad with goat's cheese and toasted cashew dressing. That sounds amazing. And then the latest recipe books that are brought out. So Cookie Do is not static. So for your annual fee of £40, you really do get a huge amount of value, because every market across the world where we sell Thermomix, so that's around 20, brings out at least 2 new collections every single month. So you've got access to about 40 new recipe books every single month. So these are some of the latest collections. Simon Rogan, he's a Michelin-starred chef. He runs Long Plume. So there's some really fun recipes that he's put together using the Thermomix for us. Okay, so that's the home screen. Then if you go into, let's just see if I've come back online. Here's my little search. That magnifying glass at the top is the search. Yeah, I'm back online now. So if you want to search Cookie Do, you can just, I'm searching recipes. So you can notice here on the left of the screen where I'm just hovering over with my cursor, I'm searching recipes. You can search through your app for recipes or collections, and then also articles. So to search articles, you actually need to be doing this through the cookiedoo.co.uk website. I believe you can only search recipes and collections on the app, but the article appears when you're using the website as opposed to the app. So first of all, if you want to search your recipes, if you can see, these are the sorts of things that I have been searching for. So risotto. I did a risotto, right? I ended up doing a paella tonight, but I've just put in risotto, and there's nearly, let's just take that off. I'm just going to filter back on English. Hang on. Where's my country? Oh, my country is English. That looks a bit better. So there are 113 risotto recipes on Cookie Do in English. So you can just scroll through and see what takes your fancy. And this one is actually really lovely, this risotto verde. So you'll notice on the recipe, if you click, oh, now it wants me to log in. Why is it throwing me out of Cookie Do? That's just bizarre. If I go back, right, hopefully I'm logged in. So you'll notice on the actual recipe, can you see there's 3 dots here? When you get logged back in, these 3 dots will appear. That's how I knew I was logged out, because they weren't there. You click on those 3 dots, you've got these options. You can either put it into your weekly planner for today, you can bookmark it as a favorite, as we talked about. You can add it to your collection. So you can add it to, see, I've got lots of collections here. You can add it to, I think I've got a rice collection. So let's just go back up. Rice. So there we go, it goes into my rice collection. Then you can also add it to, so you can add it to your week if you don't want to cook it today, but you want to maybe cook it, say, I'm going to cook it in a couple of weeks' time on the 3rd of August. There we go. I can save it to my weekly planner. And then you can also add those ingredients to your shopping list as well. So I'll show you what happens when you add to your shopping list. So then if I'm going to have a look at my weekly planner, I just go to my week. I'm not very good at planning recipes. There's always big gaps in it. You can see these are the ones, these are the options that I had under Cook Today, and you'll notice they're exactly the same as on my Thermomix screen. And then for the 3rd of August, we're going to be doing a demo, or a cooking class really for customers on the 3rd of August. So these are all the recipes I'm looking at as part of that cooking class. So I just added them into my weekly planner, and you can see that that risotto verde also now appears because I've just added it into my weekly planner as well. So then from your week, you can go, can you see I've got my shopping list? So all the ingredients, you can just easily transfer your ingredients onto the shopping list. So, and then have a look at my shopping list. So I can have a look at it. You can either have a look at it by category. So this is quite useful if you're walking around the supermarket. So it will group the items that are sort of located down the various aisles together. Or you can look at it by recipe, which frankly I find a bit easier because I like to know what ingredients I've got per recipe. And then simply, if you've got those ingredients, you just click and to remove them. And then you can come down to the bottom and add any additional items that you want to buy that haven't, featured. So you can put foil on there, or, a toilet roll, or, whatever, a magazine that you want to buy. And then when you're happy with your shopping list, you can order it. So it will, here we've got a few options at different stores. You can check what it's going to cost at Tesco. And then, so that all of those recipes are going to cost about £60 at Tesco. If I'm going to look at Waitrose, it's going to tell me what it's going to cost at Waitrose, and Sainsbury's, etc., etc. So again, this is one of the ways where customers can save themselves quite a lot of money, and you can swap out the branded items for non-branded and vice versa. So you can sort of choose which exactly which products that you want to. So that's you know, that's a really useful part of Cookie Do. You can also share it or print it as well, your shopping list. So coming back to my recipes, like I said, you can either search recipes or you can search collections. Now, when you're searching collections, you'll notice that the default is for over 5,000 recipe books to show. Now, not all of these are going to be in English. So the way you get around this, and this is the one exception to the filters, because filters don't work on collections in the same way that they work with recipes. You have, when you're searching at the recipe level, rather, you have to manually add in the English speaking countries. So that is Australia, Canada, the UK, and the US. And once you've added in those, then you've just got all the recipe books in English. There may be some French ones because these will be the French Canadian. You'll see that there's often duplicates, and that's because markets bring out sort of different versions of their recipe books. So there might be a UK version, there might be an Australian version, and there might be an American version. But that just makes it easier to search through. Quite like that road trip. Look at that road trip book. And then this was nice. This one is quite nice for like picnics and celebrations. The Jubilee, lots of lemonades. Oh, that looks good. Might have to save that one. I always come across some amazing new books when I do this. So once you like if there's a recipe book you like the look of, you just have to click save. And then if you go back into my recipes, and then go to created collections, saved collections. What was that book called? It was called Lemonades, wasn't it? And then just scroll down, you'll see I've just got hundreds of them because I can't resist. And in my welcome document, or in the welcome document that your advisor sends you, there are suggested collections in there for you to save to your Cookie Do account, because it can be, there's a lot of information to take in at the start. And, you know, I've been a Thermomix owner for 5 years now. So this is 5 years worth of time and effort spent on Cookie Do. So you won't have all of this to start with, obviously. But what was it called? It was called Lemonades. For some reason, it hasn't synced, but that might just be my Wi-Fi for the time being, because it's being a bit patchy this evening. So if I just go back to save, let's see if it appears. I don't know where it's gone. Maybe it hasn't sort of gone in there yet. Okay. Right. So again, if you can look at your collections, either you can look at your own created ones or your saved ones, or you can just collect them all together. So you can look at all of your collections that you've got saved to your Cookie Do account. That's why I couldn't find it, because it wasn't called Lemonades. It was called Refreshing Lemonades. There it is. So that's gone in. So if I go back now, thank you, whoever said that I've got the name wrong. If I go back to my saved lemonades, it should be under R, not L. So you've got to remember what it's called. There it is. There we go. But I should be having a good look at that one later, because that Brazilian limeade looks amazing, and cherry lemon as well. So this is a really good way of using up fruit. I often do a watermelon slushy for my children when it's really hot, and that involves freezing some watermelon in the morning, and then you can turn it into like a sort of a slush, a healthy slushy a few hours later. That's well worth doing. Okay, so I think that's all I needed to show you on Cookie Do. If I come back on to my Thermomix screen, I need to stop the share on there. There we go. Go back onto this. So you can see it's now playing ball. I'm online. So you can search cookie dough in exactly the same way directly on your screen. So if you know what recipe you're going to cook, so if you, for example, just wanted to search, so let's just search one of the curry recipes because it's easy. Butter chicken. There we are. You can just, it will bring up all your options and then you just click on the recipe and click start cooking. So then it will walk you through that recipe step by step. So I'll just skip it through a couple of steps. So just for, I think I've got a couple of people on here that haven't seen a Thermomix up close and personal yet. So you haven't seen how a recipe looks on the screen. So the Thermomix really does walk you through step by step every single recipe. So, for example, you're going to be putting some ghee in here. So I'm just going to press down. You can see the scales operate. So you just weigh in your ghee. Then it will tell you to put your lid on. Then it's going to heat your ghee up for a minute. So it's reaching high temperature. And this Varoma setting here, the Varoma is both the name, rather confusingly, of the Varoma attachment, but it's also the name of the highest temperature setting. And the reason for that is generally, when you're using the Varoma attachment, you need to have a Varoma setting on here because that will ensure you're generating enough steam to be able to steam whatever you've got in here. So that's one thing I didn't mention to you when we looked at the dials at the start. So you then, here's your little instruction, turn speed selector to speed 1. So that's what you have to do. In there. Oh, I've got my blade cover in there. I've forgotten I'd left it in there, but that won't matter. So your clock is counting down, you're heating up to Varoma, and all you had to do was just turn your speed selector to the relevant speed that was that it told you to, and then that will start that particular step on the Thermomix. Then click next. Then it's saying add in onions. So you can see I'm just going to weigh my onions. Then add ginger, garlic, or chili. Lid on. It's going to chop them all up. So here we go. We've got 10 seconds because we're going to chop it really finely. No temperature this time, and then speed 5. So all you would do is you turn the speed selector to speed 5. I won't do that because I've got my blade cover in there, so it'll make a horrible noise. Scrape down the sides, put your simmering basket on the top, then it's going to cook it. So you've got 5 minutes on the clock. Varoma, speed 2. So you can see that every single step of the recipe, this is what makes cooking and it takes a lot of the chore out of cooking and just makes it really, really quick and easy just to run through. So, you know, for a busy mum like me, I absolutely love my Thermomix. For that reason alone, it means that I can just create some absolutely delicious, healthy recipes, but I can be doing laundry, I can be helping a child with homework, I can be cleaning up the kitchen, loading the dishwasher, or all of the above at the same time as my Thermomix is cooking for me. So it really, if you're a busy person or you just find cooking a chore, having a Thermomix in your kitchen is absolutely brilliant. And if you love cooking, it's also brilliant because it just means you'd be able to get more done. I mean, now I make all sorts of stuff like jams and chutneys and curds and things like and yogurt that I probably wouldn't have had time for had I not had a Thermomix. And your own butter. So, you know, there's lots of things that you can have a play with. So that's what a recipe looks like on screen. So let me just show you that Varoma temperature. So if I go, I'll just take that out. So on the temperature dial, you go all the way around from body temperature, which is used often when you are heating up milk or liquid for bread making purposes, all the way around to Varoma. So you can see the Varoma setting on here. And typically, if you've got food in the Varoma, you will need Varoma on there to generate enough steam. So let's have a quick look now at all the accessories that come. So I'm just going to pop you down like that. So this is the Varoma attachment. So you can see that we've got 2 levels to it. We've got the dish part, the tray, and then the lid. So when you're using the Varoma, you need your measuring cup out of your Thermomix, and then you're going to pop it on the top like that. So obviously you need your measuring cup out so that the steam can escape and heat up whatever's in there. Now this is your measuring cup. It's called the measuring cup because it genuinely is a measuring cup. So you've got a 50 ml measure and 100 ml measure to the top. So these machines were really carefully designed to replace as much kitchen equipment as possible, so that you really only need to have a Thermomix and possibly an air fryer or an oven in your kitchen as well. So it will replace all of the appliances that you typically have, plus many of the different hobs, and it enables you to cook in a really smart way, which is also very energy efficient, because instead of using multiple hobs, you can actually layer up ingredients in your Thermomix. So you're using the residual heat from whatever is cooking in here to then be steaming something in the simmering basket, to then be cooking something in the bottom of your dish and in the top tray as well, rather than having sort of 4 or 5 different hobs on the go, which is going to be costing you even more money now. Our energy bills have gone up. Okay, so that is the Varoma. Then I briefly mentioned the simmering basket. So the simmering basket sits inside the Thermomix. You'll notice that it has got a hole on one edge. So I always put the hole opposite the handle. The reason for that is because you've got a little lug on your spatula. Your spatula is not green. It doesn't have your name on it. They've put my name on it for me. Your spatula will be black, but you've got a little lug on your handle, and it just clips in to that hole in the back of the simmering basket to enable you to lift it out, so that you don't burn your fingers when it's hot. And then you can see there's a little recess in the handle here of the Thermomix. Can you see that little recess? You can then take it, and then you can see this sort of I don't know what to call that really, round disc, I suppose, on the spatula. I've only been doing this for 4 years. You'd have thought I've okay. Have videos on them. Can you see there's a little play button there? If you're ever not sure about what now I've got these on screen. Let's just so what have we got next? Right, this is called the splatter guard. So this often is used when you are doing.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Can you run through that again, because their sound was off? I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you.
Oh, is that because can you hear me now?
I can hear you now, but we missed what you were talking about.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
It may well just be my it might be my AirPods. Right. So what did you miss? Did you miss the Varoma?
We saw the Varoma. It's just a little bit afterwards.
It's the steaming basket. Yeah.
It's steaming basket. Okay. So did you get the little hole?
Yeah.
Right. So that's brilliant. Got that. So really, I just was explaining there are vents on the front, and then these on screen. Rest of it is tutorials. So if you're ever not sure about what sort of accessory to use, or sometimes like more technical parts of recipes. In bread making, we've got lots of shaping sort of tutorials on here. We can just see people's, chef's hands, and it shows you how to shape various products like rolls and baguettes. We've got
How do you get onto tutorials?
It automatically comes up. So you'll notice as you're going through the recipe, I've done that step. If I click next, it will automatically just come up on your screen. And then when there's a play button, you can just press play. And it will come on for you. So for example, if you go if I go back onto recently cooked, there might be a baguette recipe in there. Can you just wait for me? Is there baguettes on here? I might have done it on my other Thermomix actually. Right, let me just search for baguettes. No, Daniel, just wait, please. I won't be too much longer. Daniel, could you wait? No, could you just wait, please? Think so baguettes. So if I just go through to the relevant recipe, I think I go into that bit. Yes. Right, here we go. So here's your recipe tutorial, just showing you how to form your baguette from the flat piece of dough. So it's really handy, actually. It's really useful, this particular aspect of the guided recipe. I do mine slightly differently, but it will work out exactly the same way. So there you go. So that's how you shape a baguette. Because what we were finding is, although the Thermomix makes making dough really easy, people weren't quite sure what to do with it when it came out, and it makes it just much more visual and easy to follow when you've got somebody showing you what to do as opposed to just reading the steps on the screen. Okay, so next, after the simmering basket, you've then got this, which is called the splatter guard, I think. So this, again, your recipe will say place splatter guard or mixing bowl lid at the correct point in the recipe. And this is obviously used just to stop, if you've got hot oil in here, and meat, if you're sauteing meat or doing some high temperature work, it's just used to stop that hot oil and the drips just coming out of your Thermomix. So that's your splatter guard. We talked about the blade cover, didn't we? That's the blade cover. You know how to put that in. What else have I got here? Oh yes, one thing I always show people is how to take the bowl apart. I once had to talk somebody through this going up the A1, and it was really difficult. As you will see, it's easy when you see it, but it's not so easy to try and talk somebody through it. So you've got, so lots of people don't realise actually they can completely take their bowl apart and put the whole lot in the dishwasher. So I tend to put everything in the dishwasher at the end of the day after I've used it. So you can just clip your base. Now the first couple of times you do this, when your Thermomix is new, it's really stiff, and then it just eases off. So you twist that base, and then the blades will drop out, which means it's really, really easy to clean. You can see this one went through the dishwasher last night. I haven't used it today. So then you can just put everything in the dishwasher. To put your blades back in, you pop them in from the top, and then the easiest way is there's a sort of like a protruding bit on the top. I hold that, flip it upside down, put my base on, and you can see I just put it offside, and then I just twist it towards the center again. Can you have a strawberry? Just eat that strawberry. I don't think you really need any more strawberries, do you? Just have that, darling. And then it goes back together. So again, I always have a sort of a cloth. Yeah, a cloth down just to protect my work surface. So just to release it, I'm going to twist that to the side like that. The blades will drop out, and then pop it back in, hold it from the underside, and then just secure the base So you just put it off center and then just pull it together like that. And that secures it. So the whisk again, I know I showed you that earlier, but you drop the whisk in over the top and then just give it a little, can you see it's like an 1/8 of a turn like that, just so that it sits up against the blades. Doesn't matter which one, as long as it sits up against one of them, it's locked into position and then you can use it, but don't use it above speed 4. Okay, so final thing that I did want to mention to you, again, I just wanted to show you on Cookie Do, because I did forget this, I promised I'd show you how to sort your filters out. So when you set up your account for the first time, if you go into, I'm not sure I can do it on here actually, I think I need to do it on the app. Yeah, it looks different on the app actually. But one thing I will show you on here is if you are ever given any vouchers for Cookie Do, this is where you input them. So you put in your Cookie Do subscription voucher code in here under your account overview. You can't do this on the app, you can only do it on the website. So that's just one thing that is worthwhile noting, okay, that you have to use the website to input Cookie Do subscription vouchers. So let me just come off of there, and then what I'm going to show you is, I think on my, if I can show you on here, so if I share my screen on here, let me just close, make sure I've got my Cookie Do app open. This is where I try and get everything closed down, but I should just be able, oh, hopefully I haven't closed Zoom down. God, I've got so much stuff open. Got a rather nice view of my tummy at the moment, I think. Oh, right, let's go back to Zoom. Right, okay, so now I just need to make sure my Cookie Do app's open on my phone. So this is what I wanted to show you. Share content, screen, start. Right, let's just turn that over there. Okay, so here's what Cookie Do looks like on my phone app, and you'll see up on the top right hand corner, this is your sort of profile zone. So click on the chef's hat, and then when you first set up your Cookie Do account, you need to click on preferences and scroll down to search filter preferences, and then go to update filter. And you need to make sure you've got your English language box ticked. But this is the key thing, and this is what often people forget, is that you need to make sure you've removed the tick from the UK box, and then you click save. If you've still got that tick in the UK box, you are still only going to find UK recipes. It doesn't matter whether you've got English recipes ticked, you will still be restricting yourself to UK. So you just need to make sure on your Cookie Do account that you take that off and then click save. And what you should be looking at is English set as the language, and then country or region set to all. And that will mean you will find all of the English speaking recipes. Right, so let's come back to stop share. There we are. Okay, so I think I've actually, yes, have another one. I think I've pretty much covered everything now. Has anybody got any questions? I know I've gone on for sort of, I've just got run over by about 20 minutes. Can you hear me now? I can just hear, I can just read, I've lost Sam. So hopefully you can, everybody's heard me. That's brilliant.
I have a question to ask
you.
Of course. I made some flour out of my husband's wheat because I wanted to make some biscuits.
Yes.
So I milled some wheat, but the Thermomix got really quite hot.
Yes, it will do.
37.5. And
yeah,
and
so you go on.
Sorry, I was just getting a bit worried, just in case, because I didn't want to break the Thermomix.
No, I mean, it will do, because of course there's quite a lot of energy and power involved in grinding wheat. I don't know how much you had in there. I think there's probably a maximum quantity that is recommended. So whether or not that's 250 or 300 grams at a time, generally it should only be running for a minute when you're grinding. When I grind icing sugar, sometimes if I do it for a minute, sometimes I do it for 2 minutes. I used to be a professional cake maker and decorator, so I used to make all my own icing sugar in the Thermomix, but I don't find it's a fine enough grade if you just run it for 10 to 20 seconds, as a lot of the recipes do, if you're just using it in things like lemonade or just to sort of sprinkle over a cake. If you want to make royal icing, for example, you need it really, really fine. So I used to grind my icing sugar. I used to do about 500 grams of sugar at a time, and it would get really, really hot. So I would then have to allow it to cool down, because if you try and make buttercream with hot icing sugar, then you end up in a terrible mess. But yeah, you'll be fine. You just need to, it may be sensible, again, a bit like with the icing sugar, to let the grain cool, because it may just affect the product that you're making. But it won't do your Thermomix any harm. If you are grinding a lot, you may find that you will need to replace your blades sooner than you would have expected. Now, I use mine professionally. I've had my white TMs for 3 years now, and I haven't had to replace my blades. But if you're doing a lot of those heavy duty functions like chopping ice, grinding grains down, making sugar, icing sugar, you may find that your blades get blunt off and that you would need to replace them. So so the blades are not covered by the warranty. And neither are things like the spatula, the lids, the measuring cup. The rest of it is covered, but the accessories, which are subject to just sort of normal wear and tear, and often people, they get dropped as well. So you'll find that these get chips in them. They are not covered by the warranty. The blades aren't covered by the warranty, because again, if you're using your blades quite industrially, then that goes sort of beyond the normal wear and tear. But yeah, they are pretty. Oh my god! I bought these strawberries to make granita with, and now she's had a whole punnet, and now there's that. Right, okay, I think you need to go to bed really, rather than eat your way through your weight in strawberries. But so yeah, it's just one thing to watch out for. But like I say, I do a lot of, I put these machines through their paces on a regular basis, and I haven't had to replace my blades yet. But in the manual, I think there are guides there that generally you could sort of reasonably expect to replace them every 5 years if you sort of medium use, but heavy use it would be a couple of years. And they're about £40-50.
All right, thank you very much.
Lindsay,
Okay,
Lindsay,
yes.
it's Janice. It's Janice
Hi.
speaking.
Hi,
Did
Janice.
you kept on mentioning a group? You said, if you could go on to my group. What group is that?
Right. So that is, if I just pop it, I'll put it in the chat, but I'll just also say it's the Thermomix Whiz customer group. It's on Facebook. So you can just request to join. I think it's a public group, so as long as you can find it, you can just request to join it, and I'll just approve you. And we're knocking on the door of about 2,000 members now, so it's a really good community and great for help and support. So it's well worth joining that. Okay, anybody else got any questions?
Yeah, Lindsay, can I just ask you about
Yes.
the trial membership of Cookadoo?
Yes.
I was excited and went straight onto the app. So I've just looked at it now because I've saved some things for when I get my machine that I want to start with.
Yes.
And I've just seen that my trial membership expires in 2 days' time.
Right.
I'm just thinking, will I lose what I've saved?
No, you won't lose what you saved. Now, when did you order your Thermomix?
At the NEC. So I have got that extra 4 weeks or whatever it is that I've got. But I don't want to use that until I can actually use the machine. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to do any.
I know. Absolutely. No, I do know what you mean. So what I would perhaps recommend then is that you just wait until your Thermomix arrives. and then you won't lose anything that is stored on your Cookie account.
Right.
But when you go through the setup process of your Thermomix, it will ask you for your login details for your Cookie account. Then it will trigger your 6 months, and it will automatically, if you've got a voucher code to add in, which is where I showed you where you need to add it in on the website, on the Cookie website, not the app. You can then add the voucher in, and then it will then that extra month will kick in.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant. Anybody got anything else? Oh, I like you. You're interactive. Oh, brilliant. Okay, so well, hopefully you found that useful. I hope that was useful for you. I know there's a lot of information to take in, but you know, and this is exactly why we do these sessions and why Thermomix are best sold through advisors. In fact, you can only buy Thermomix again now, thankfully, through an advisor. They've seen sense and taken the transactional part of our website away, because what we were finding was customers would end up with a Thermomix in their kitchen, they wouldn't know how to use it, and then they were telling everybody it was just a very expensive blender, which of course we all know is not the case, but you really do need an advisor there to sort of help you get started, and then we're obviously on hand to help you with any questions, and you get the benefit of joining our cooking classes and demos. So we run regular online cooking classes and demos as well. All the details of those you will get emailed about via either myself, if you're one of my personal customers, or my team will email you as well. But we also post the details on that customer group on Facebook as well. So you will be very, very well supported. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to your advisor. You've also got my details, so you're able to get in touch with me, and then obviously use the group if you're not getting an answer as quickly as you need. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Pleasure. Right. Good. Nice to see you all. And yes, hopefully you'll be getting your Thermomixes very soon. All right.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.